Martin Luther. Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther, 1483 to 1546, was a German theologian, priest, and professor whose teachings inspired the Protestant Reformation. His challenge to the Catholic Church's practices and doctrines reshaped Christianity and European history. Luther's emphasis on salvation through faith alone and the authority of Scripture over church traditions laid the foundation for Protestantism. Early life and education. Martin Luther was born on November 10, 1483, in Eisleben, Saxony, modern-day Germany. His father, Hans Luther, was a miner who became a prosperous businessman, hoping that Martin would pursue a career in law. In 1501, at the age of 17, Luther enrolled at the University of Erfurt, where he earned a bachelor's degree in 1502 and a master's degree in 1505. However, a life-changing event in July 1505 altered his path. While traveling, he was caught in a violent thunderstorm. Fearing for his life, he vowed to become a monk if he survived. He kept his promise and joined the Augustinian monastery in Erfurt, dedicating himself to a life of religious study and prayer. Spiritual struggles and theological development. As a monk, Luther was deeply troubled by the idea of sin and salvation. He engaged in rigorous fasting, confession, and penance, but he found no peace. His mentor, Johann von Staupitz, encouraged him to focus on God's mercy rather than punishment. In 1507, Luther was ordained as a priest. He continued his studies and, in 1512, earned a Doctor of Theology degree from the University of Wittenberg. He began teaching biblical studies and became a respected scholar. Through his study of the Bible, especially the writings of Paul, Luther developed the belief that salvation came through faith alone, sola fide, not through good works or church sacraments. He also believed that Scripture, sola scriptura, was the only true authority in Christianity, not the Pope or church traditions. These ideas set the stage for his later break with the Catholic Church. The 95 Theses and the Reformation 1517. During Luther's time, the Catholic Church sold indulgences, certificates that reduced punishment for sins. The Dominican friar Johann Tetzel aggressively sold indulgences in Germany, claiming that buying them could save souls from purgatory. Outraged, Luther wrote his famous 95 Theses, a list of arguments against indulgences and church corruption. On October 31, 1517, he reportedly nailed them to the door of the Wittenberg Castle Church, inviting debate among scholars. The theses quickly spread across Europe thanks to the newly invented printing press. Luther's challenge sparked a major controversy. Pope Leo X dismissed him at first, but later demanded he recant. In 1520, Luther wrote 3 key works: To the Christian Nobility of the German Nation, The Babylonian Captivity of the Church, and On the Freedom of a Christian, which attacked the Church's authority and called for reforms. Excommunication and the Diet of Worms, 1521. In 1521, Pope Leo X issued a papal bull, official decree, excommunicating Luther. Emperor Charles Fuss of the Holy Roman Empire summoned him to the Diet of Worms, an imperial council, to defend his beliefs. When ordered to recant, Luther famously replied, "Unless I am convinced by Scripture and plain reason, I cannot and will not recant. Here I stand, I can do no other. So help me God." Declared an outlaw by the Edict of Worms, Luther was now a wanted man. However, his protector, Frederick the Wise, staged a fake kidnapping and hid him in Wartburg Castle. The German Bible and spread of Protestantism. While in Wartburg, Luther translated the New Testament into German, making the Bible accessible to ordinary people. His translation helped standardize the German language and spread Reformation ideas. In 1522, he returned to Wittenberg, where his teachings inspired a religious revolution. Priests married, monasteries dissolved, and Lutheran churches emerged. And marriage and personal life. In 1525, Luther married Katharina von Bora, a former nun. Their marriage was groundbreaking, as priests were expected to remain celibate. They had 6 children and provided a model for Protestant family life. Conflict and the Peasants' War, 1524 to 1525. Inspired by Luther's ideas, German peasants revolted against feudal lords, demanding social and economic reforms. However, Luther opposed the rebellion, believing it misinterpreted his teachings. He urged rulers to crush the uprising, leading to the deaths of thousands. This stance damaged his reputation among the lower classes, but secured noble support. Luther spent his later years refining his theology, preaching, and organizing the Lutheran Church. He also wrote against the Catholic Church and other opponents, including harsh attacks on Jews, which have been widely criticized. In 1546, Luther died in Eisleben at age 62. His influence endured, shaping Protestant Christianity and European history. The Lutheran Church became the dominant faith in much of Germany and Scandinavia. Impact of Martin Luther. Luther's legacy includes 1. Religious Reformation. He challenged the authority of the Pope and redefined Christian doctrine. 2. Bible translation. His German Bible allowed more people to read Scripture. 3. New Christian denominations. His teachings led to the formation of Lutheranism, Calvinism, Anglicanism, and other Protestant movements. 4. Education and literacy. He promoted education for all, influencing modern schooling. Luther's courage in questioning church authority changed Christianity forever. Today, millions of Protestants worldwide trace their beliefs back to his Reformation.